Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tyler Bell, Public Information Officer for the Peel Regional Police. Before we begin, it's important that we acknowledge the land that we're gathered on is part of the treaty lands of the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. In particular, we acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabe, the Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and the Ojibwe-Chippewa peoples, the land that is home to the Métis, and most recently, the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We're grateful to have an opportunity to work on this land, and in doing so, give our respect to its first inhabitants. Welcome and thank you all for attending our headquarters as we bring announcements and awareness to our 2024 seasonal ride campaign here in our region of Peel and talk about our efforts in reducing impaired driving everywhere. As you know, ride checkpoints and other enforcement initiatives are conducted throughout the year to target impaired driving as part of our regular policing duties. This time of year, we step up that enforcement, and that is the aim of our seasonal ride campaign, when our community is impacted the most by impaired driving. Our partners who have joined us here today have valuable insights and experiences of the impacts of impaired driving. And today you'll hear from Deputy Chief of Police Mark Dapat, Chief Operations Officer of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Don Regan, and Nancy Stewart, who will relate her story of how an impaired driver devastated her family. And thank you, Nancy, for being here. Standing up here as well is our Inspector of Road Safety Services and officers that are familiar in the area of impaired countermeasures. And as well, we're welcomed by Omar Khan, Peel Regional Police Services Board member. After today's announcement, there will be an opportunity for questions, and I'll help facilitate that. There's a microphone on your left and your right. I ask that you please limit your questions to one with one follow-up, and any inquiries that are not related to today's subject matter, I'll be happy to facilitate after the announcement. A media release and the video of today's announcement will be made on all of our Peel Police platforms at the conclusion of the event. To get things started, I'll welcome Deputy Chief of Police Mark Dapat. Deputy.
Thank you, Tyler, and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us here today as we announce our 47th annual seasonal ride campaign. The aim of the Reducing Impaired Driving Everywhere campaign is to keep our roads safe from all forms of impaired driving. But before I start, and on behalf of Chief Nishan Dariappa of the Peel Regional Police, I'm honored to welcome Don Regan, the Chief Operating Officer for Mothers Against Drunk Driving Canada. And of course, I want to extend a warm welcome to Nancy Stewart, who is the MAD Toronto board member and leads the MAD Canada Loss of Partner online support group. As was mentioned, I'm also joined here by Inspector Tim Nadigal and members of our road safety services and a member of our police services board, Mr. Omar Khan. Nancy and her family experienced profound loss, and their lives were changed forever because of someone's decision to drive under the influence. Nancy, thank you for joining us today and for your commitment to stop impaired driving and support victims and their families. This year's seasonal ride began on November 16th and will continue until the new year to ensure that motorists and pedestrians in our community remain safe during this season. During this time of year, you will see our officers in many locations across the region and at various times throughout the day and night to keep impaired driving off of our roads. Last year, through our RIDE initiative, Peel Regional Police laid 155 impaired-related charges and investigated over 12,000 vehicles. Additionally, 116 drivers received 3-day suspensions. So when you look at the number of charges and suspensions, I ask you to think about how many lives were saved and how many potential collisions and injuries were prevented. This initiative is aligned with our community safety and well-being strategy, meaning that it is more than just enforcement. It's about awareness and prevention, and we're calling on our entire community to play a role in this regard. Impaired driving is one of the leading causes of traffic fatalities. This is 100% preventable, and there is no excuse to be impaired behind the wheel, jeopardizing the safety of our community. Since 2018, Peel Region responded to 40 fatalities as well as hundreds of serious injuries as a result of collisions due to alcohol or drug impairment. But it's about more than just statistics. These are mothers and fathers, children, brothers, sisters, friends, and families whose lives have been forever changed by someone else's actions. Our R.I.D.E campaign is specific to this time of year as the festivities increase due to the holiday season. However, we want to remind everyone we are committed to eliminating impaired driving offenses all year round. I will say it again. Everyone in our community has a role to play to raise awareness, be vigilant, and most importantly, to never drive under the influence. I would also like to remind everyone that certain driver classes are prohibited from having any alcohol in their system per Ontario's zero tolerance statute. This includes young and inexperienced drivers as well as commercial business drivers. Now, and on behalf of the Peel Regional Police, I want to take the opportunity to thank MAD Canada. We are grateful for their invaluable partnership. MAD are champions in the battle against impaired driving through their advocacy work, raising awareness, and supporting victims and their families. I wish everyone here and all our community a happy and safe holiday season. Make the right decision and stay sober behind the wheel. Have a plan before you head out. Call a taxi, arrange a ride share, or take public transportation. Finally, if you suspect someone on the road may be impaired, call 911. You could help save a life. Thank you, everyone. I would now like to turn it over to Don Regan, the Chief Operating Officer for MAD Canada.
Thank you so much. On behalf of MAD Canada's volunteers and members and the victims and survivors of impaired driving with whom we work, I'm honored to be here with the Peel Regional Police for your seasonal ride launch. Every year, in the weeks leading up to the busy holiday season, Peel Regional Police run this seasonal ride campaign to remind people about the terrible risks of driving impaired. The obvious goal of sobriety checkpoints is to detect for impaired drivers, but they're also a very important deterrence tool. Well-publicized, highly visible campaigns like this increase the perceived likelihood that if you drive impaired by alcohol, cannabis, or other drugs, you're going to be caught. We are pleased to be part of this launch and to offer our support throughout the campaign in pursuit of our shared goal to prevent impaired driving. Police are among MAD Canada's most important partners in our mission to stop impaired driving. They work with our chapters here in Ontario and around the country. They lend their support to many of our local activities throughout the year, and especially during our annual Project Red Ribbon campaign, which is underway right now. We join with Peel Regional Police and others to remind Canadians that getting behind the wheel is never worth the risk. If you're driving impaired, please do not do so. Stop. It's not worth losing your license. It's not worth the heavy fines. It's not worth a possible jail sentence. Most importantly, it's not worth risking your life, the lives of your passengers, and the lives of other motorists on the road with you. So as you're planning your holiday celebrations this year, please plan ahead for a safe, sober ride. Take a taxi, take public transit, arrange a designated driver, call a sober friend or a family member, and as we mentioned already, but it bears repeating, always call 911 to report impaired drivers. The role we all play to prevent impaired driving means that people will get home safe this holiday season, and there won't be, empty chairs at the dinner table. We wish Peel Regional Police a safe and effective seasonal ride campaign, and we thank all the dedicated officers for their work to catch impaired drivers and make roads safer during the holiday season and all year long. And now I'd like to turn it over to Nancy Stewart, who will share her story.
Hello, thank you everybody for being here this afternoon. I'm the Vice President of the Toronto chapter of MAD Canada. However, my message here today is to share our family's story of the heartbreaking, devastating effects of impaired driving. I'll be introducing you to my family. You can see our poster back here. On June 16th, 2007, the day before Father's Day, my beloved husband Doug and our youngest child Emily went to visit Doug's parents. On their journey home, an alcohol and cannabis impaired and speeding reckless driver suddenly swerved and crossed the middle lane of the highway. Doug and Emily were hit head-on. Tragically, Doug died instantly. Emily was not expected to live. She had multiple broken bones and cuts and a catastrophic brain injury. That day, my life and the lives of so many others changed forever. Because of one person's thoughtless, irresponsible actions, our world was destroyed. Later, the police told me that there had been multiple 911 calls about this driver as he was driving extremely fast and recklessly. We were told that he'd been at a wedding all day before getting behind the wheel. Let me tell you a little bit about my husband, Doug. Doug was a truly kind and gentle man, friend and inspiration to all. Deeply intelligent with a unique way of looking at things, he was creative, innovative, giving, generous, unselfish, and kind. He was a talented writer and poet and loved all types of music. He was my very best friend. He was the light and laughter in every room. He always put others' needs before his own. He willingly helped anyone without being asked. He made connections with everyone he made, taking the time to listen to their stories. Family meant the world to him. We were married for 30 years. He was my best friend, my soulmate, and my kindred spirit. Our marriage and our family were full of fun, laughter, and love. He was my rock of strength, and my entire life collapsed when he was killed. Doug was the most amazing dad to our 4 children, Graham, Courtney, Fraser, and Emily, building a deep and unique relationship with each child. He coached Fraser's hockey team, making the most of every special moment together. He discussed ideas and books with Courtney and regularly dispensed life lessons while driving Graham back to university. He played hide and seek with Emily's friends and played hours of school and work with her. He took time to do all the little things that make a family: photo collections, little notes, funny cards, and always had time to listen. He never stopped saying how much he cherished his family. Yes, it has been 17 years since that horrendous day. However, the deep sorrow and loneliness I feel has never diminished. I miss my best friend and life partner every day. Doug has missed so many things in our family life: graduations, 2 weddings, the birth of his grandchildren, retirement and travel together, and so much more. Now let me tell you a little bit about our daughter, Emily. Emily was an amazingly confident and energetic little girl. She was a gifted student and involved in piano, dance, musical theater, and tennis. Initially, she was not expected to live, and the doctors told me they have little hope for any kind of recovery. They said that Emily would be in a long-term care facility for the rest of her life, unable to feed or dress herself. She spent years working with a speech-language pathologist, a physical therapist, and a rehab therapist following the crash. She still has difficulty today with short-term memory, word retrieval, and other cognitive challenges. Emily also suffers from temporal lobe epilepsy and will need to be on medication for the rest of her life. Although she'll never fully recover from her acquired brain injury, she's made remarkable progress through her rehabilitation process with all of that life-affirming courage and determination she inherited from her dad, and with the support of so many. I'm happy to share that she's recently completed her master's degree and has become a truly magical elementary school teacher. She is the person I admire most in the world, as she has shown incredible courage and dedication through her recovery, as well as keeping her deep kindness and caring personality. I guess I don't have to tell you how little understood being impaired by drugs like cannabis can affect one's motor skills, reaction time, concentration. One might think that people surely understand the devastating effects of alcohol and drug-impaired driving. There's so much messaging and so many ways of getting home without driving. No one ever thinks it will happen to them until it does. At MAD Canada, we have a candlelight vigil every year where hundreds of names are read and faces are up on a screen. Every year, there are so many new names added. A lot of young people, including babies who are killed, so many youth. I just wish that everyone could witness this vigil to see just how many people, innocent people, are impacted by impaired driving. It's truly heartbreaking. All these lives cut short, families devastated, communities crushed. All of these crashes were 100% preventable. I like to talk to people about courageous integrity. Call 911, speak up and prevent impaired people from getting behind the wheel. Take their keys, arrange an alternative ride. You could be a lifesaver, no matter how uncomfortable it may seem. Doug's loss has left an enormous void in so many lives. He was such a vibrant and caring person who was cruelly and senselessly murdered by an impaired driver. Hopefully, hearing about Doug and Emily will provide a powerful message to everyone to never consider driving while impaired. Getting behind the wheel while impaired is 100% preventable. Thank you to all the police force here for all the incredibly brave and impactful work you do to help stop impaired driving. Thank you for listening to my story.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for sharing your story. With that being said, I'll be happy to take any questions. There's the microphone to your left and to your right, or if you feel so inclined with the volume in here, feel free to. Thank you all very much for gathering.